Hello, everyone. My name is Alyssa White, and welcome to the Dear Journal podcast, a podcast where we talk about any and everything and freak out about life together. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and let's get straight into it. Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to my first video recorded podcast. I'm super excited about it, and took me a while because I had to figure out kind of the whole setup, but we got it down now. So today I'm going to be talking about how to give a little bit less of a shit about what other people think, because honestly, I think it affects your confidence a lot, and I think that having the confidence to not care as much about what other people think is really important. And this is also because I read a book a few months ago actually, about this exact topic, and it was by Mark Manson, and it's called The Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And basically I feel like it was pretty valuable in just figuring out, and it's not okay, you're supposed to be absolutely not caring about anything. No, the point of it is to figure out what you do care about and then be unapologetic about it and just kind of have tunnel vision about what you want, and then realize that everything that doesn't align with that does not matter in the grand scheme of things. And I think that coming out of high school, college, either one really, that's one of the biggest things you realize is how much value you put in other people's opinions of you, of what you're doing, of what you care about. I mean, we're consistently told and influenced by other people of what we're supposed to care about, and other people are telling us what should be important to us. And of course, that's just life. You are going to be influenced by other people's opinions, but that should not completely overtake you to where you don't know what you care about and who you are. And the point of it is not to be indifferent to anything, or everything. No, you need to know why you're doing certain things, who you are, and having the confidence to pursue those despite of what other people think is really important, especially when it comes to social media these days. Oh my goodness, everything we do, if you mess up, it's put out on blast, and word of mouth is just so much faster because it's not even word of mouth, it's word of the internet. And I think that scares a lot of people. I think it scares people to fail, and the fact that it can get blown up in a way is scary. But it's how much do you really care? We hold so much weight in thinking that other people are always looking at us and always watching us, and it's so not true. Half the time, the people that you think are caring about what you're doing are thinking about themselves. The most anxious people are always so scared that everybody's watching them, and at the end of the day, the other people are usually probably scared that you're watching them too. And it really just kind of plays with your mind, because I don't think that you need to hold so much weight in other people's opinions. It's easier said than done, obviously, but it also just comes with maturity. In middle school, you could not pay me enough money to go back to middle school. Oh my goodness. Every tiny little thing was the absolute biggest deal, and popularity and things like that. You worried so much about what other people thought of you and their opinion of you, because it mattered. There was a brutal social hierarchy in middle school. No. Obviously, in high school, that's different. I don't really think we had one, but it was once you also get out of high school, it's you get to choose who you hang out with. You choose who to prioritize in your life. And that's the biggest difference, choosing what you care about and then, sticking to that. Because if you're passionate about something and you really care about something, surround yourself with people who are, encouraging you. Obviously, you need to have friends that are going to be okay, this is dumb, don't do that. But you also have to know what you're capable of, and then decide, with that influence from your friends and family. But knowing what you're capable of is really important. Knowing what you care about is really important. And I think also one of the biggest things is that we forget that you're not always going to be able to please everybody. Not everybody is going to like you. That is just life. You are not going to get on with some people, because it's just personalities, it's preferences, it's differences. And I think a lot of times I don't know if it's just like girls more so, but we get caught up in trying to people please a lot. And that is literally like, I feel like ingrained in us from when we were younger. And evidence of that is literally just saying sorry all the time for literally no reason. We say sorry when we bump into somebody when they could have easily moved just like we could have, but we are like, oh, sorry, like, that's my bad. I mean, we're so apologetic about so many things, and I think that I don't understand why, because, I mean, I understand why. It's, like, socially ingrained in us, but unfortunately, I think it stops a lot of us from feeling like we can take up space and having the confidence to have our opinions and to voice them if we want to. And I think a lot of girls are becoming more confident in themselves and, realizing that they have the right to take up that space. But I do think it's harder with social media because you're constantly comparing yourself to others. And when this ties into, like, giving less of a shit about what other people think, is also giving less of a shit about what other people are doing. Like, social media is great to see what else is out there and to see, kind of other things you're interested in. But it's also really toxic in comparing yourself to other people, because everybody's journey is different. Everybody has different interests. Everybody looks different, is built different. And when you get caught up in, like, trying to compare yourself to other people, you really take away a lot from yourself. And I think that just, not, having your views and sticking to them, obviously you want to be open-minded, that's not what I'm saying, but having, like, the things you care about and know who you are shapes, like, your opinions and what you want to do. And then you need to stop being so apologetic for sticking to them. And when people don't understand, it's like, okay, well, maybe we're just not meant to get on that way. And that's okay. Like, you really don't need to please everybody. You don't need to say sorry all the time, because people are not thinking about you. They're really not. Like, it might be a passing thought, but at the end of the day, you have yourself. And while that can be like an isolating thought, I also think it's very freeing, because it's like you have yourself to rely on at the end of the day. And you're the only one who knows you. People can have whatever opinion they want about you, but that doesn't make it true. Everybody has different perspectives on everything. You could be in the same room and perceive a situation completely differently, just based on your background, your kind of history. That's just how it is. And so not everybody will understand why you are the way you are, but that doesn't mean that, you're wrong in a certain way. Everybody just has their own opinions. And I think we just get caught up in always trying to make ours right a lot of times, when it's like, there is, like, right and wrong, obviously, but, people have their different opinions for different reasons. And, when you kind of realize that you have yours and those are your values, then you can stick to those and be less apologetic about it, because people are always going to have something to say. And whether you care or not is up to you. But I think a lot of these days it stops people from pursuing or doing what they want to do. And I think it's really sad, because we're so scared of failure. We're so scared of people looking down on us. And I think that it's just such a slippery slope to try to please everybody except yourself, because we want everybody to like us. And there's so many people out there who, are liked by a lot of people, but at the end of the day, they go home and they're like, I don't even like myself, though. Because maybe they're not even being true to who they are, because they're trying to please all these other people. And it's just such a slippery slope to, not liking yourself. And I really hate that for a lot of our generation and, just people in general. I think that having confidence is literally, like, an issue these days, because so many people are so, like, insecure, which is fair enough because of, like, look at society. But, like, that's the issue, is I think it affects everybody's mental health really badly, because when you don't have confidence to really, like yourself, how are you supposed to expect other people to, And it affects your relationships, your friendships, all of that. Because if you don't love yourself, it's cheesy, but if you don't love yourself, like, nobody else would or should, and that's hard, but I think that, taking the time to figure out what you want and who you are is, like, the most important thing you can do, because, yeah, like, in this life, we're alone a lot of the time, so if you don't like who you are, you're spending your time with yourself the most, and you gotta, like, live with that. You gotta enjoy who you are, enjoy spending time by yourself, and giving a lot less of a shit about what other people think about you. Because, gosh, I mean, just think about how much, like, headspace it takes up sometimes, and I think just understanding that, nobody's probably thinking about you that much. Like, maybe, yeah, your family, the people that care about you, probably worry about you on a lot of different levels, but no, like, at the end of the day, we all have our own baggage, our own stuff to worry about. And the likelihood of somebody really, like, actually caring about what you think that much is, not that high. So I feel like we need to remind ourselves a lot that, no, like, it's you. You don't need to, apologize for who you are and try to, people please your way through life. That's not the way to do it, And plus, if you're constantly doing that, you don't really know who's around you for you. Because when you are yourself and you are your genuine self, and then, you figure out who's going to stick around, who actually likes you for you, right? Because, I mean, if you're being your unapologetic self and somebody's like, okay, like, we're not clicking, this isn't for me, then that wasn't meant to be, and that's fine. Because that's how it's supposed to be, People who are meant for you will stay with you. And I really do believe that. But, there are also people who are in your life for phases, and that's fine too. But, not sticking to who you are, I mean, you can adapt, of course. I mean, everybody should adapt and change. You're going to grow all the time throughout your life. But I think that your values and morals pretty much are, they stay the same. So keeping that in mind, you really got to ask yourself, like, why do I care so much about what other people think about me, Because, of course, that's just nature as human beings. We just do that naturally. But I think for girls, it's a lot harder sometimes, just with all the expectations that we have on girls in society is ridiculous. Like, you really can't do anything right. If you're too loud, then, you're just like that loud girl. If you're too quiet, too reserved, then you get, like, pushed over all the time. And so it's like you have to figure out some sort of middle ground, but there's always expectations. And honestly, oh my gosh, this frustrated me so much, because I was watching March Madness about the women's tournament, and these women were talking about the South Carolina coach, because she had, like, a more flashy, like, suit on for the game, and they weren't even talking about her coaching. They were literally talking about what she was wearing. I was like, are you literally kidding me? We're still doing this today. Like, would they ever do that about a man? No, because they all wear the same thing, because there's no expectation on them to look a certain way. Like, they could literally pull up in sweats and it's fine. Girls, are you kidding me? Like, you can't do anything right, and it's so frustrating. And that's why it's like, you do need to know who you are, because gosh, will this world try to mold you into somebody else. And I think it really sucks for girls in that way, but it's just kind of something we've had to deal with, isn't it? And I really hate that for us, but at the same time, being a woman's fun, so we'll go with that. But I just hate how, like, much we are programmed to care about what other people think as girls too. And guys get that too, but not to the same extent. Like, you are always being told how to look, and the standards are always changing. The standards are literally always changing for girls, because, like, right now, I swear, like, the skinnier the better is what it is. Like, all these celebrities have, like, lost so much weight and are trying to be, like, unhealthily skinny, and it sets such unrealistic standards. And then I hear that, like, from TikTok videos that they're like using this like super expensive drug to like lose weight, and I'm like, and then you have all these younger girls comparing themselves, like, why am I not that skinny? Because you don't have the money to buy this insanely expensive drug that's gonna like shrink your waist. Like, it's not a workout regimen, hun. No, it is literally unaffordable drugs. So it's like, how are you ever supposed to live up to that? And you shouldn't try, because that's impossible. No, you find somebody who likes you for you, and you go work with that, because that's what you should be doing. If you're trying to change yourself to be somebody else for someone else, oof, you're never going to be happy. The only person that you need to make happy is yourself, and then other people will fall in line. That's how it works. And I really hope that society kind of changes in that way, because, gosh, you know, we're always being put in some sort of mold, like girls are. And unfortunately, I mean, to be fair, I think there's a lot more that we, can do now. We're changing the standards, I think, a lot. Like, nowadays I feel like it's more acceptable for girls to be competitive and everything like that, but as we should be, like, what do you mean? Of course girls are competitive too, and it's like only now this is sinking in, because like women's sports is getting more attention. Like, what do you mean, And it wasn't acceptable before to be like loud and like competitive and passionate about your sport, and now it suddenly is, because guys are getting on board. Whatever. No, but I'm happy about that things are changing. I just sometimes wish it's like, why did it take so long, So that being said, it's like, if you are passionate about something and you really want to pursue it, you know who you are, then like, yeah, stop being so apologetic and caring about what other people think, because I think one of the best examples is like, yeah, women in sports. Like, we want to pursue what we want to do, and we shouldn't have to apologize for being competitive and wanting to pursue that, Guys never were asked, to be quieter, to take up less space, no. So, just saying, like, think about that, and think about the fact that, yeah, you don't need to apologize for every little thing you're doing or justify it. God, girls always feel the need to justify how they feel all the time, and I hate that. But I do think that we're getting better about it. Society's kind of changing with it, thank God. And, I think that this episode wasn't even aimed towards girls, but it's just kind of like morphed into that, so take it for what it is. But yeah, but I do think that, confidence problem is very much with girls. I do think that guys struggle with confidence now today too, of course. Mental health affects everybody. But yeah, I do think there's a lot more standards and expectations on women, as far as like how to look and how to act sometimes. So, but again, you have to decide what you care about, and then everything else becomes a lot less important when you know what you want and who you are. So, if you've been feeling like, you just can't get other people's opinions out of your mind, I really challenge you to, either write down, journal, of course, this is the Dear Journal podcast, so if you want to journal, highly encourage that. Write down what you care about and your goals. That always helps. And then you start to see that like all these little things that you think you care about so much don't matter. And yeah, basically I think that writing down your goals and everything really helps. But, being okay with being misunderstood is good as well, because you will figure out what you want. And I think a lot of people who are more introverted or don't go out as much are misunderstood in the way that, they're not antisocial, they're just socially selective as well. Like, they're not going to be around people who aren't supportive of, what they're doing, and they just don't have the social energy to deal with that, and that's okay. I think that's also good sometimes. And sometimes the people that you see with the most friends and everything are not themselves, because, they're people pleasing as well, trying to be liked by everybody, and it's quite a lost cause. I'm not saying if you have a bunch of friends, then that's you, but I do think there's something to be said for being more socially selective about who you hang out and who you surround yourself with. So if, you've been struggling with confidence lately, you've been struggling with, other people's opinions of yourself, just really try to figure out what's important to you. And then everything else, all that noise becomes a lot quieter. And, specifically as girls, I think it's hard, but, we've made a lot of headway in, I think, supporting each other too. And yeah, if you are in this place, then I hope this helped. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, the first video podcast. So I hope I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to the Dear Journal podcast, and I hope you enjoyed diving into today's topic. If you want to continue to get updates and stay notified, you can either turn on the notifications or follow me on Instagram at alyssa.white.22. That is all for today's episode, and I hope I see you next time.